Hi everyone, welcome to WeWork. This is actually Lauren's office. I'm the intruder, but thanks for joining us. Today we're talking all about real life running a business, what it's like behind the scenes, so behind this glossy facade of social media and Instagram, and just delving into truths that I think not a lot of people talk about. So how it impacts your mental health, the struggles, the persistence and resilience, and just all the little details that I feel like can get quite forgotten, but for us, I think are quite present every day. So I'm thrilled to have Lauren, who's the founder of Oatsu, with me, and we're going to get stuck in. I'm excited for this conversation and hear more about your brand. So I think first and foremost, if you could just tell everyone about Oatsu, why you started it, and a bit about the business.
Yeah, definitely. So, I'm the founder of Oatsu, and we help people get the most out of their morning with our plant-based, handmade overnight oat breakfasts that we deliver to your door, and they arrive ready to enjoy with no prep required. I started the business a couple of years ago now, and it came about when I was working in the corporate world before this. So I spent 4 or 5 years working in asset management, and I would make overnight oats. For those of you who don't know, overnight oats are like oats soaked in oat milk, and you can put seeds, fruits, nut butter, like anything that you've got basically in the cupboard into your oats, and they make for a really delicious filling breakfast. And I used to prepare overnight oats in the evening, and then I bring them in and have them at my desk in the morning. But as you know, like you've got to spend like a good 5, maybe 10 minutes making overnight oats in the evening, and you don't always have time to do that. Especially if you're going out in the evening, or you might leave it in the fridge. And I just felt that like in the supermarkets around my office, I just couldn't see any overnight oats available in supermarkets, and I thought there was a really clear gap in the market for. Yeah, I honestly thought it was the best breakfast. It was my favourite, so I just thought it would be great to have it. And in America, I think there are some overnight oats that are available in supermarkets, and I just thought it's only a matter of time before it becomes a thing over here in the UK. So that's kind of how it came about 2 years ago, and since then I started an Instagram account and a Shopify online store, and we've made I've worked it out recently, like I think 12,000 or so breakfasts.
Oh my gosh.
Over the last 2 years from our little Oatsu kitchen. We will be transferring production over to a manufacturer soon, excitingly. But yeah, with lots and lots of customers. So we are direct to consumer. You can order online. You can order our overnight oats on our online store. But also we're in some independent stores. We were recently in Raver Store, which is where we met recently, in Covent Garden, which was an amazing pop-up of startup brands. And we're in some really exciting conversations at the moment with supermarkets about stocking our overnight oats as a grab and go breakfast. So hopefully we'll be able to share more updates on that soon.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, I know. It's like the pinnacle of what you like hope to achieve when you start something.
I was going to say, because then when you left corporate world and you thought, I'm going to set this up, is it like, are you where you thought you would be at this stage in the business?
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. So, I think when you start a food business, you think that you're going to get your overnight oats into, well, not your overnights, but whatever product you're making into stores within like 6 months or 12 months, right? And you think like, I just get them into like Tesco and it will be good.
Yeah.
It's so much longer than that. It's taken over 2 years to work out the route to market and to find a manufacturer. So we are going to be transferring production over to our manufacturer in the next like month or two, which is really exciting. But yeah, it takes so long to find someone to make a product for you at volume, because making yourself is great and it's a great way to start, but it's not going to be possible for you to probably make your products and get them into large retailers at the volumes that they need. And then conversations with retailers take so long, don't they?
Long. In fact, I think if anything, I find that the most challenging and frustrating. Oh my god, honestly, sometimes I'm like angry because of how long as well. Because I think you really want to put your time and energy into even like the email, the presentation, how you come across, and then you can spend like an hour sending emails and kind of getting in front of them for no replies, nothing, no change. It's a long process.
It is. It's so long. It's so long. Like as you said, like people change roles, and then like they get bombarded with so many emails. So I understand why they might take like a month or 2 to get back to you, but in the meantime, you're just like, I really need just like an answer from you on like a question about say volume expectations in order for me to like progress, and it can be really hard.
I know.
And I'm only just starting, I guess, like the process with bigger retailers, and I guess I'm excited though to see kind of what the journey's like, because I've heard like, you know, you hear positives and you also hear like negatives, and how you can be treated and the difficulties and the challenges. So I'm hoping and keeping in mind that I do also want to like keep our revenue streams like diversified, not try and rely just on like say one big retailer to bring like a vast majority of our revenue. So I'm kind of keeping that in mind and trying to think of all the different places that people might want to pick up maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. I think there are, like you said, there's so many routes to markets now as well. It's really good to like assess that and think where to go next. But then I think there's always that dream. I mean, well, speaking for myself, when you do start studying it, well, you always have optimism and like mixing with maybe like a bit of like naivety of like just in 6 months I'm going to be here and here and here. But actually, as you get more into the journey as well, you realise that you need other stores, you need other selling groups, because it can take like a year to even get a response. And at that time as well, you don't really know like how you're selling the product. You're kind of like, I do this. Do you want to try it? Do you want to try it?
Yeah,
like,
you don't know.
No. It's hard.
But having the like direct to consumer like online store in relationship with your customers, where some people hopefully will be ordering like regularly from you, definitely helps to kind of sustain the business.
And like it's always that, like you said, up and down, where when you do get even like a response, I find that I will like happy days. I'm like, yes, I got a response. They emailed me. And then 8 months later, in fact even now, I'm like 14 months down the line of happy dancing, thinking I got somewhere, and I'm literally now like the third person who's rotated out, and I'm just like, it's got to a point where I'm like, what's the point?
Is this really going to happen?
Yeah, but I'm sort of like, there's that glimmer of possibility, and I'm like, and I'm going to hold on to that glimmer, and then you just got to keep going, like keep persisting, I guess. So
it's exciting now.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed. I was gonna say, so in like today, how you run your business now, you work, you've got your office space. How would you say it's really going? Would you say it's going well, or would you say it's the challenges potentially outweigh the reward?
It's interesting because I think there's definitely like a contrast and a like dichotomy, I don't know if that's the right word, but between how it's like looking like it's going on the outside, like across the exterior, and then how things are like feeling for you if you're a solo founder, and it can be difficult to navigate and like decide on like how you want to portray the realities, because obviously you don't want to just be like listing all the issues that you're coming across and the struggles and stuff. So you tend to just share about your achievements and your successes, which is amazing, but then everyone's congratulating you on the things that you've achieved, but it is really hard day to day. Like as a solo founder, is probably aware, like if you don't have a team member to like share the burden with, it's a lot to manage. But I hope that like as we grow and like build teams, we can kind of share that with other people, and there'll be other people on hand to like help out.
And even like these conversations, I feel like we need to talk more about actually like 95% probably of what running a business is like, and the 5% is those successes, which of course you want to celebrate and you want to engage with even your followers to share news, but really it can be a day where you're in your own head, and like you said, I think the perfect way of how you described is being a solo founder. I think for me especially is like you feel just burdened talking about it all the time, and like I'll go to say something to like my sister or something, I'm like, but why am I going to say that? Why would I then like I don't worry her if I'm there like I'm so lonely or like or I don't know what I'm doing, because it's a different relationship, and I think having people in business to advise you is different to having like your friends and your family to be like, how's your day? Yeah, it's alright, kind of tiring, and really you're like, oh my gosh, like it's been so mentally draining.
I completely relate. And I feel like it sounds bad, but like you just end up talking about your business because it is your world, and you also want everyone else in your world to be as interested in it as like you are. But it's not everyone's world. You kind of have to remember that. But it is just everything for you, right? And it just takes over your whole brain. I'd say if you have like someone who understands, like a partner or friends who kind of get it, maybe they're self-employed as well, or maybe they're a business owner as well, that just like really helps, I think. People in the food startup world, definitely it's important to like build connections with people going through the same thing that you can just like vent to or share that frustration with, who like understand. 100%.
Because what would you say, if you don't mind sharing, like is your like your biggest mental block when it comes comes to working by yourself? What do you find like maybe the most difficult of being a solo founder?
I'd say, so a couple of things, like being on your own and not necessarily having a team, in the early days at least. We have taken advantage of the Kickstart scheme and the Kickstart scheme to hire a couple of people who helped us on a placement, which was amazing. So they were kind of the first team members that joined the team, and they gave me a really great hand. But in the first maybe year or so, I was just like running the business completely by myself, and quite lonely. It was during lockdown. A few people that I knew were mentioning that they were feeling a bit lonely, and there were challenges. And so my friend Jess, who led banana ice cream business at the time called Banana Scoops, we started a community for food startup founders to like support each other, and we had like weekly calls and a WhatsApp group to help, which was amazing. But I'd say that it definitely can be lonely. And we've just taken on a new team member, which is amazing, and even just having her come to WeWork and kind of help out, and we're creating content and things like that together, it definitely helps to have someone else there. So hopefully there'll be more of that to come in the future. And I'd say probably managing like your finances is quite tricky, and I'd say it's definitely something to think about before you start a business if you're thinking about doing that, and thinking about how you're gonna be able to like sustain yourself, your lifestyle. You might have to kind of go through a bit of a lifestyle like adjustment if you come from kind of a corporate job and you're used to having a regular salary. It definitely is like different, and it might be a long time until you're able to pay yourself, and you might have to. I actually moved back home with my mum, and I was grateful to be able to do that, and I know a lot of people don't have the chance to do that, and that definitely helped me in the first. It's been kind of 2 years now, and I'm still figuring out like, okay, what do I want my life to look like? What's my life going to look like from here? I don't know if I want to be, I don't want to end up being there forever. So I just need to work out kind of how that's going to work.
Yeah. But like you said, it all takes adjustment, because I think there's also that it's so easy to see like other people doing things and think even like at this age I should be there, or like I've recently seen like a lot of friends get like engaged in promotions and things, and I mean it's quite ironic because technically we can't. This sounds so smug, sorry, but like we can't really be promoted because we are like the athlete, but it comes with actually so much more bigger responsibilities that when you see other people, it's sometimes like, should I be doing this? Like, am I doing this for the right reason? Because actually, if I'm turning X age, and it was actually my birthday last week, so maybe I feel like I'm like evaluating things. But you kind of think, is this what I want to be doing for the next 5 years, knowing that actually it might never be as like successful as I thought it would be, or like if I thought it was going to be somewhere completely different now, and I'm not there now. That's really, that unknown is really difficult to sit with and think, how much more have I got in me to keep trying? When the reward is amazing, and it's so empowering when something happens that's like what you wanted. But when you don't, which I would say is probably more than not, that's when you have to really assess and think.
Out and said that they don't want to prioritise it anymore, and then we have to start from square one and build relationships with other people. That was difficult, and I was really uncertain and unsure, and I didn't know if it was going to work out. But I 100% agree. You imagine that you're going to have this amazing traction like so early on, and if that's taking a bit longer. Than you want to happen. I also similarly compare with friends who are having promotions in their corporate job or ex-colleagues, and then you see people moving forward in their personal life, like engagements, like people getting married, having kids, and it is hard to know as well as a solo founder, before you're taking a salary, like how you're going to afford to be able to do those things. And I think starting a business in your 20s, I didn't think of it at the time, but now I'm like entering my 30s, it is a time. It is probably the decade where people are like starting a family and things like that, and obviously that requires like financial stability. And so it's definitely made me. I've been thinking quite critically about like how I'm going to make it work, lifestyle wise, because it is such an important time in our life. And so it's definitely something to think about if you're kind of around that stage of how you're going to make it work. You might have a partner that you can rely on, or maybe family members, but definitely I think a lot of people don't have that. And some people raise investment to be able to have like a salary. That might be a route, or if you can build profitability into your business and you can take a salary from that, then that's amazing from the early days. But yeah, you just got to kind of work out if you're able to do it, and it's hard, and definitely not everyone like is privileged enough to be able to like have the time and the resource to be able to. It's a real struggle.
And I think with that as well, like I know that I sometimes feel guilty because it's all kind of like our doing, like you said, as a solo founder, it's you're the like propeller, you're the motivator, you're the main person, having to get to that next step and do the right thing to ensure that you do kind of get like a payoff, literally and figuratively, to take you to that next level in life. And I think it's that kind of feeling where I sometimes like, yes, things have changed over the past like 5 years or so that I've been doing it, but then it's like weighing up whether like have I actually changed like significantly, like have I actually like moved forward in life, like that feeling of when you do see all the other people. I think it's really easy as well to even look at other brands and think, oh, I want to be where they are, and I meet the people and I think like we're all in the same boat, like actually we're all really uncertain, but again it's that feeling of you never know like what's going on, and when you see another brand that's proving a bit more successful than you can't help but think, I'm not doing enough, I need to do more, what am I doing wrong, what's the next step? And then it becomes a whole other process of you kind of having to calm yourself down. Oh my gosh, I feel like you can hear my thoughts as I speak, like it's just one of those like a vicious circle I think sometimes in your head. And I always like to wonder, so if you knew what the journey was going to be like from startup to now, when you started, would you still do it?
So interesting. I don't know. I really don't know, because it's taken so much longer to make progress than I thought it would.
Yeah.
And I actually left my job before I had everything finalised and sorted, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. I'd say it's really great to prove you've got like demand for your product and have like a little bit of traction. Maybe go to food markets or start an online store and see if your products are selling. But you also need to figure out if there's interest from retailers and supermarkets. Hopefully you can have some conversations with them before you leave your job. How you're going to produce at scale, so you probably will need a manufacturer. And I'd say you probably need those key components in place before you completely cut your lifeline and your salary, unless you have savings, or you can move back home and cut your expenses completely and not be under stress. So yeah, it's really hard. I think I just jumped into it really quickly, and I didn't have all these things sorted. And I've really, really enjoyed it the last couple of years so much, and there's been so many incredible opportunities that have come out of being a business owner, I guess, that you wouldn't have access to if you were just working in a corporate job. And it's been the most incredible roller coaster. And I wouldn't have changed any of it because it's been so much fun.
Yeah.
But I'd say if I knew that 2 years down the line I'd still be producing the products myself, I'd be I think what's happened? It's great. That sounds crazy. Why have you not made more progress? But there are just so many unforeseen roadblocks in the way to make progress. So
and a lot of things out of your control. A bit like we were saying with buyers, we can't force them to say yes. We can't force them to read an email and say I'll take samples, because they have their own KPIs and monthly things to hit. A lot of it is actually out of our control, and we can only try so much. But I think as a founder, a solo founder especially, you take it all on your shoulders.
Yeah,
and
it's personal.
you literally this is my life.
Yeah.
It's so hard then to differentiate and compartmentalize and be like, no, actually, I have done a lot. And I think actually what you just said, I've got to a point of feeling more frustrated at things than not. But I find it quite bittersweet when people say to me oh, your journey is all learning, think of how much you've learned, and you're like, I didn't go into this to learn. Do you know what I mean? I did GCSE. He's like, I'm very happy to have done that, but like, I didn't do this just to learn for like 6 years. But like, I you know, when it comes from such a nice place, and you like, I appreciate when people like give advice like that. You know, when you're like, that is not what I want to do.
I know, definitely. And I do, like you were saying, like in your personal life, I feel like a lot of your goals sometimes need to be put on hold, or at least like for example, like being able to like get on the property ladder, or maybe live where you want to live. You might have to make sacrifices, not be able to travel, buy things that you want to buy, eat out, all these things that like you might love doing. You do have to make an adjustment over many years, basically. And I didn't really realise that, to be honest.
And I think the sacrifice as well, it's also hard because to kind of justify then, like, why can't I go on holiday, why can't I? It comes back down to, we've chosen this, you know, like, we've chosen to set something up. And I think, to be honest, I think, like, winging it is a bit of a preconception of running a business, and I would completely agree, because, like, in the early days, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm still, like, novice at things. But you don't really have the sacrifice. I don't think you think about the personal sacrifices and those details, because you're thinking more just, yay, business, I'm going to be here, and you get carried away with like that optimism and excitement and passion, but everything else kind of takes a sidestep, and then it hits now, and then you're like, now
is this what I signed up to?
And then it's hard, I mean, for me as well, to sometimes think, not is it a waste, but sometimes I think, is it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I have another 6 years in me. If I know that in 6 years, if I'm still in the position I'm in now, I'm not up for it, because that's then too long
it's
gone.
It's a really long time.
Not really moving.
Yeah, and it's really hard to determine a timeline as well for yourself, because there's always another exciting opportunity on the horizon that's almost in your reach, and that's what keeps you going, I guess. So for me, like, just over 2 years has gone by, and then similarly, I think, is it going to be another like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years? I'm going to be in the same position, but I don't know when the cut-off. Like, I don't know if I would want to put myself like the pressure of the cut-off.
And I feel like even this, like, I feel like every year, since like 2018, when I hit a bit of like a mental block, let's say, and like just kind of like lost a bit of mojo, and was like found it hard to come back. Ever since then, I've always been like, I'm going to reassess at Christmas, or like I'll reassess in 6 months. It always hits that point, and in fact, the latest, like this, probably like this May, and I was like, I'm going to take a step back and just reevaluate. And then I don't want to. It's not. I'm like you're your biggest advocate of the business, and it's these external factors. It's the mental side. It's the loneliness. That's where the challenges sit. And it's like that I can work a bit longer by myself, or like I can do that. But I think that those milestones, they just keep getting longer and longer, because you don't really want to stop.
No.
But you don't know what else to do.
No.
And I think it's knowing how to navigate like the future, even though it's a totally unknown future.
It's so unknown. And there's so many. I feel like, I don't know if you feel the same, but like going into the world of starting a food business, or starting a business at all, it opens up so many more potential avenues for you, because you've proven to yourself that you've moved from something else to doing this, and then you're like, would I want to stay in food, or would I want to be a business owner again and start entrepreneurship journey again? Would I want to be go back to, would I want to go to corporate? Would I want to do something completely different and pivot again in my career? I don't know.
No, it's
like,
true.
You just don't know.
No,
I guess that's life though. Like there are so many sliding door moments. And every path that you take could lead to like multiple
and I think the beauty of business is, as you evolve as a person and get older, the business evolves with you. And like, actually, when you look back, well, especially for me, because I've been going a bit longer than you, but I know the business is not, it's not the same as it was at the beginning, but I prefer actually where it's kind of ended up. So it's like, as anyone evolves, you evolve with whatever you're doing. And that's like, I guess, like the beauty of anything you're in, because we're allowed to change, things can change, and actually, like, it's okay to change, and like, actually, even things like a podcast or something like this, I would probably never have done. Well, in fact, I didn't do this a year ago, but again, it's exploring other ways, but also bringing it back real to like what the bulk of running a business is like. Because would you say, so today, where you are, circumstances and things, would you say running a business makes you happy?
I'd say it's difficult, because I can't just say like a straightforward like yes, it makes me happy, because there definitely are like it's always, there's always like good times and bad times, right? Like, I'm so excited about the potential for where our overnight oats could go, and the reason I keep going is because I genuinely like think that it is an amazing breakfast that needs to be in like supermarkets, even aeroplanes, hotels, like gyms. Like, it is somewhere that is basically, I can see the opportunity, and I still think there's so much more to go. Like, there's so much more that I want to do, and like so many more opportunities that I want to like take advantage of and like explore.
If you had to, today, if you had to say yes or no answer
As to
does it make you happy, what would you say?
God, it's so hard.
You can assess it on this.
I think so all those good things, but then like when I started, I was probably only excited about the positives, and then like you said, now that I'm 2 years in, I know about like the struggles and the doubts and the uncertainties that go through your mind constantly as well. So I'd say, like, in your mind or reflection, you're constantly going between like, oh, I'm so excited about this thing coming up and where it can take us, and then like, oh, how am I going to make it work? Like, even in your personal life, how am I going to make like ends meet and do what I want to do and like live in in London, and just keep things like moving in your life.
I know, like working alone, I'm always like, how am I going to meet people? I'm like my after work drinks buddy. I'm like, I'm my colleague.
I know, right? 100%. It's so hard. And then with potentially like friends from before, or ex-colleagues, like doing such different things, and you do feel a little bit alone, like on your journey, and it's hard to like not compare. But you just got to remember that you're just doing something completely different, and you can't compare your lifestyles.
Obviously, so like, what would be a relatable word of advice for someone else who is potentially just starting out, or potentially like at like a similar stage to us, and also feeling lonely, also feeling quite deflated, frustrated, just being tired of having to be resilient and persistent? What would you say is like really solid advice that would help you?
I'd say something that genuinely has helped me, I feel, and not just because we're here at the moment, but joining lots of communities of food startup founders or just entrepreneurs has been so incredible. And I've been able to be part of, like, we work here because of a community that I'm part of called 2040. And coming into a co-working space, I've actually enjoyed a lot more than working from home on my own, which I did for the first probably like year or so. But I did find that really lonely and a bit stressful. But just being around other people and now having a team member and us working together, it just gives me like a sense of purpose and direction like in my day. And I like to separate that from then like coming home. My desk is in my room, so I just didn't really feel like that. It was a nice place to work. And being in communities like WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups of other people kind of doing a similar thing, or sharing and following other people on Instagram or on LinkedIn who are on a similar like journey, that can definitely lead to comparison as well. But you can definitely be brought up by their enthusiasm and their energy and like be inspired. When they're like winning, it kind of spurs you on to like keep going. My boyfriend is self-employed, and he's been really incredible because he kind of understands what I'm going through and definitely helps like lift me up when I'm like feeling a bit distraught or stressed or lacking like direction. So I think that definitely helps as well. And before this, I did live on my own, so I rented by myself for a while. I actually found that a little bit lonely. I didn't love living with like loads of people either, but now, since then, I then moved back home to start a business, and my mum has been there, and she's also been like a great, I guess, support system for me. And it's just really nice to be able to like offload the struggles that you're going through with someone, really like anyone. I know you mentioned like you definitely don't want to like burden your family members, but just having someone there to like talk to at home, whether that's a partner or a flatmate or a family member, definitely helps, especially if you're doing a business and running it by yourself. Because otherwise, if you're just on your own, I think it can probably just really get to you.
And I think there's only so much, I think, this goes for like everyone, that we only have so much that we can cheerlead ourselves. And you get to a point where you can really back yourself, you can find motivation, you can be like, yes, Gabs, like you've got this, or like, we can do this. But then there gets like, there's a threshold where you're kind of like, it would now be nice to maybe just like talk to someone about something, or like just someone be like, let me just take some of that from you, talk to me.
Yeah.
And so like I think people, like it's so true. Like a co-working space, I also worked alone from home for quite a few years and recently joined a co-working space.
Oh,
And
really?
even just to be like next to people,
Yeah.
even if I'm not friends with them, I feel like they're colleagues.
Yeah.
Like, that if they're working, I'm like, I'm gonna work. Like
Yeah.
I feel like you're alongside other people, and I think it also just puts into perspective that we're all working and all jobs are difficult. That actually, they might be also going through
Yeah.
a really rough day, and you don't talk about it. Like there's some sort of, I think it's that connection. There's that energy between you, thinking at least we're like together and like can motivate each other, even if it's silent. Like there's something about people being around that just helps boost morale.
Yeah, 100%. Like, what kind of tips do you have around like support networks, or what's like been helpful for you aside from the co-working space? Do you think?
Gosh, I mean, I like talking, so I think it has been. In fact, well, honestly, I did this, and this is going to sound really selfish, but like this helps me because it helps me feel less alone. And
Yeah.
actually talking to other people and someone else just going, me too, or I don't know where I'm going. They're like, neither do I, or like I haven't got it figured out. Actually, can make my whole day at ease. Like I suddenly think it's not just me, and I think that's like I'm like naturally quite a curious person. I think I always come back to that question of like, it's just me. Is it just me? Am I the only one going through these challenges? But doing things like this, talking to others, and just like making friends. Like even at Ray, when I was picking up stuff, I would just talk to anyone, because I think having someone that you could just say, do you want to go for coffee one day, is better than sitting in my head, which is mostly comparison, negative, like why aren't you doing more?
Yeah.
So I think the people sound is it's definitely good. But then I also think like escapism, so like actually trying to switch off. I love like films and like things like that. So I think for me personally, it helps just to think, put everything, like just turn on that romantic side of your brain and just like watch something that is going to completely like distract you from overthinking, which is like my biggest threat. So it's like you've got to find like that balance of what helps you switch off and that you enjoy, and actually like I've got downtime on my phone, I've got things that like stops me from then like always being online.
Does it block you from accessing apps?
Yes.
Really?
So I said that in fact I always forget to switch off my Instagram one. So like right now it would have cut off.
Oh really?
But luckily did. But I have it at like maximum like 45 minutes a day or something.
Really? That's so good.
Unless I'm doing reels, because as we know, reels takes like a gazillion years.
Like a day to make them.
Literally.
Yeah. That's so good.
So
Stop me scrolling. Oh my god, I need to get on that.
Because also, and I think also this is just I also just realised that I actually like I care, but I also don't. Like, you know, when you can sometimes see like too much, and I'm like, I actually don't care. I'm not taking this in because I'm like passionate about what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I can sometimes be like seeing things, and I'm like, I don't really care about what this person on the other side of the world that I don't know had for, like as a coffee. Do you know? I'm like, I don't. That has like no. It goes
value.
like no value exactly. So there, I'll say like people and escapism is near like priority.
I'd say I like find escapism through like going out for walks. So I try my best to like go out for walks in nature on the weekend if I have time. So Saturday really is like the only day usually of the week that I'm free properly. So I'm still doing like preparation and production on a Sunday. So usually I'm trying to like block out time, like go for a walk and do some exercise as soon as I get up if I can, and just like I just feel so much better after that. And I just try and I just really want to be able, even though I'm going like on this crazy journey, I really want to be able to like keep my health on track, and I think that's like so important, especially like given that I'm running like a plant-based food business. Just really try and prioritize that as much as I can as well. But,
and so when you went into business as well, is there anything that you wish you knew going into business that you didn't, and that you potentially experience now?
Something that I would.
So something that you wish someone had told you. For example, I wish someone had said to me, like, don't be so optimistic. It's not all going to pay off.
Yeah, I know. I was literally thinking that. So I would probably come back. To the finance thing and say like have a plan of are you going to be able to like pay yourself a salary from a food business? Because honestly, I'll tell you, it's like very unlikely that you'll be able to, because there's so many things that you're going to want to invest your revenue back into. You're going to have to buy loads of packaging, ice packs, ingredients, marketing. You're going to want to maybe test like Facebook ads. Just this like an endless list of things that you're going to want to spend money on, and grow your team, and then you're going to want to be able to bring someone on and pay their salary rather than pay yourself. So what I've tried to do is like keep my business spending like very lean, but try and grow and get our overnight oats kind of into as many places as I can, and grow traction to get to a point where we are a company that is on a really exciting path, that people can see value in it, and hopefully be like raising our first investment round in the next 6 to 12 months, I'm thinking, because there are some really exciting things coming up. So I think it'll be a really great time, and it's, I'd say, that period between when you start and where you've built enough traction to potentially like raise investment, I'd say that is the period where it is going to be a very hard slog, and it's going to be really tough. But you just like got to put in the work and try and keep your like mental health in check. Stay in touch with your friends and still see them, because they're living like normal lives, and like you'll realize that your business isn't everything. It is to you, but it's like everyone's doing their own thing, and it's just so good to like stay connected with people that you were friends with like before you even started on this business, because they're gonna like know you the best and kind of be super happy for you, and it just keeps you grounded. Definitely. Distract you, and you'll be talking about like other things other than everything going through your head. So
definitely.
I definitely say that.
Okay, and then final question, would you say over the whole journey we've said that there's so many learnings and there's so many ups and downs and a lot of things that we don't see, if we stripped away all the social media and it just crashed and nobody saw any of like the highlight reel, would you say that you feel successful today?
What makes me feel successful?
Do you feel successful?
Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely have, I think, surpassed, like, I think I've done way more than I thought I could. I think I've achieved a lot more than I thought I could, even though I said that maybe we aren't as far into our journey with like having a manufacturer and being stocked in supermarkets yet. I think on like a personal level, I guess I wouldn't have thought that I would have been just really incredible opportunities. Like I was invited to speak at COP26, which was insane, having studied geography at university and learning about climate change and being really interested in that. So that was incredible. Today we just shared about the Meta Facebook campaign. So I was invited to kind of be the face of Facebook's like campaign for small businesses, which was insane. An opportunity that really I never thought would have come about. And I think on the personal side, I've definitely been really proud of everything. And I feel like whatever I go into in my life, of course I want to, there's so much more that I want to do with Oatsu. But after that, I guess the last couple of years have probably set me up in a way and given me loads of skills, even like public speaking. Didn't do that in my last job at all, and was not comfortable with it. But when you're constantly talking about your business, you just naturally, I think you just like grow in confidence because you're constantly having to like speak to people about what you're doing. So in that sense, I'm really like grateful for all the things that I've learned in the last couple of years.
That's exactly how I think also like from an external point of view, like I think you look really successful as well. As in, again, I know I'm not involved, so I don't know, but like I look at your business even and think, wow, like everything you're doing. So I think I know that's coming from someone else, so it doesn't essentially how you feel, but I would say like I would also be proud if I were you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, same to you, honestly. It's been amazing following your journey.
Oh, thank you. But I was gonna say, I think I have no more questions, and I hope everyone has enjoyed it and got some nuggets of information and inspiration, and I know just a bit more truth behind what it's really like being a founder and day to day, the mental side, but also just how difficult it actually is to really grow from nothing.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most humbling things I think someone once said to me is, it's crazy to think that like your product did not exist without you, and now knowing that you've got customers, you've got people on your side and like you're growing how you are, like that literally couldn't happen without you. And I think that is like such an empowering thing, that even if someone else is on a journey and they are literally starting out and you've just got the name of the business, like that still wouldn't exist without the person. And so I think sometimes we have to also like remember that like that's incredible in itself.
Yeah.
And like even if we strip everything away and you stop tomorrow, like we should all feel successful of actually putting something that was not here yesterday into the world that people have taken away.
Products. Yeah. You're making things like exist, like literal physical products. And the moment you see it on a shelf as well, how exciting is that? Like, and getting customers, like, sharing how much they love your product, like nothing feels better than that. So to make someone stay in that way, it's honestly amazing.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for like giving
not at all
founders like me a platform to like share and like having these honest conversations. I think it's like so needed, and it's something that I really would have appreciated, like even now and like earlier on in my journey. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, no, thank you for joining us. And I have to say, I hope everyone has enjoyed that. I have to wiggle closer so I do this properly. But I hope everyone enjoyed it and heard us okay and everything. And any questions, let us know. But otherwise, have a lovely evening and see you next time.
Yeah. Really nice to meet you guys. Thanks so much for joining.